Guys Sports.
Full episode for September 2nd, 2025.
And smash that subscribe button.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. WBR, the 110 Soldier. So much to cover today, including NFL is back. No more preseason. It is regular season, baby. Thursday, Cowboys versus Eagles. And man, speaking of the boys, they broke the internet the last few days with that crazy-ass Micah Parsons trade.
They suck! The Cowboys suck!
But is it all Manningfest Destiny? The idea that they could go get Arch Manning from this, I'll give you 4 good reasons why that's probably bullshit, but it is an interesting conversation. Also, another reminder for NFL fans, the season just got started. I'll explain it again. Do not panic in September.
Keep your composure!
At least this early on. Keep your composure in September, baby. Also, the WNBA, I gotta talk about. There is rumors of the lockout coming up. These ladies are locked out of reality. I don't know why they don't understand. They are this close to killing any little goodwill they have left with us casual fans and really blowing their opportunity in the future. And also in the WNBA, I got to talk to what I'm calling the page turners. It's just clear to me that politics and preset opinions are going over proof when it comes to this new trying to crown her over Caitlin Clark after like 2 months.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dum-dum talk.
People. So let's get into it. Like I said, NFL season is officially back. Lots of cool stuff to talk about. So many different ways we can go. I'll give you a quick 2-minute drill before I get to the Cowboys. That, to me, is the biggest story. The most interesting things I'll be keeping an eye on. The quarterback carousel in Cleveland will continue to keep my interest because now Dylan Gabriel was announced over Shedeur Sanders. Sanders has now been moved to QB3. They did trade away Pickett, but it looks like Flacco will get the start. And I actually think this is a good thing that he's not going to start early. They got a tough schedule to start, and we'll see how it goes, but I'll keep an eye on that. Also in Chicago, Caleb Williams, that he is just looking great, that he has road rage intensity. I don't know if that means he's put angry faces on his fingernails, but I mean, it looks like they're hoping this will be the year that their franchise QB that they thought he'd be will come up and rise up. In Kansas City, not much other than I think a lot of y'all might have heard about a certain engagement.
No, and I don't care.
I think it's actually good that they've kept it kind of quiet and really brought back a lot of the same roster for this year's retried another Super Bowl. And other than the offensive line where they did make some improvements, I think it'll be just interesting to see if they can just stay healthy and make one more push towards a Super Bowl after taking 6 sacks last year. The O-line was really, to me, the only real weakness Kansas City had. Pittsburgh, obviously, is a big deal because they got A-Rod and his ayahuasca doing crazy talking hippie ass over there.
I'm so high.
But they said he's different. They said now he's different than he was in New York. There's a constant, could be all just smoke and mirrors, but they're saying he's winning people over, that he's sharp in camp, that he's working on actually team chemistry building. This is way different than the Jets situation. So that will be a fascinating subject to keep an eye on as the season goes on. And in San Francisco, really, Christian McCaffrey and his health, they are doing kind of the NBA load management situation even in preseason with McCaffrey. Can he stay healthy? Is that the only chance the 49ers have to take advantage of the little window, along with Brock Purdy getting his big boy money? Can he put up big boy numbers with big boy expectations? We shall see. And Eagles, Super Bowl champs, not much to say there other than they've kind of kept things pushing and kept it quiet. New offensive coordinator, that'll be interesting, but Hurts has been used to new offensive coordinators. New one, Patullo. We'll see how they do. But, I mean, they look like they're going to come back in the NFC and are probably going to kick the ass of the team I have to talk about now. And every year, boy, they give you a story. The Dallas Cowboys, let's get into it. Parsons, the whole thing. Oh, when it comes to making the headlines, Dallas Cowboys will always take the cake. There's a lot of noise around the league, but nothing bigger than what just happened a couple days ago. And as someone who used to work in radio in Texas, where we were the Cowboys affiliate, nobody can bring news when you just needed it like the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry frickin' Jones, man. And boy, did they do their job this week, because this trade to make Micah Parsons a Packer is seismic.
But I guarantee Micah Parsons not going anywhere. Jerry's not that crazy. This is all what we call just negotiation stuff. You can report all you want. There's no way they're allowing Michael Parsons to go anywhere.
There's really no other way to describe it. It was a seismic move when the Dallas Cowboys traded not only their franchise player, but to the Packers. I mean, dude, this is so reminiscent Dallas fans are just having visions of Luka in their head of, in just a matter of months, the same city and the same fan base has had to see two 26-year-old franchise pieces move for just middling paydays. And I think it's either ironic or coincidence that he's the first one since Reggie White as a pass rusher to have at least 12 sacks in his first 4 seasons. And when Reggie White went to Green Bay, he led them to a Super Bowl. Packers are now in the conversation to win the NFC, and it is absolutely all Jerry Jones and very little Micah Parsons. This is once again his ability to just screw up the most obvious sure thing. It is just fascinating to watch Jerry be Jerry. But yes, in case y'all missed the quick synopsis, Micah Parsons has been officially traded to the Green Bay Packers. They got 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark in return. And Micah, meanwhile, signed a 4-year, $188 million deal, $136 million guaranteed. That officially makes him the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history. And this is all after Jerry Jones swore up and down they were going to get it done. All y'all making these stories, it's all BS, yada, 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 and he's gone, and it's pathetic. The timeline is even more just typical Jerry, man. If you look at how quickly.
It got so bad, so fast.
Just how quickly this happened. I mean, this could and should have really been avoided. Spring handshake deal. It was unofficial. It was probably illegal according to the CBA. But, I mean, just this spring, they had shook hands and said, we got a deal. We're going to figure out. All we got to do is just knock out the details. And then the agent gets pissed off, which then pisses off Micah, which then pisses off Jerry. He says, I wasn't at the table. This is bullshit. Then they just go on and back and forth, Instagrams and quotes and doing all sorts of stuff. Next thing you know, Parsons was preseason in his street clothes, laying down on the table, taking a nap during the damn game. That pissed them off. And then he started filing a grievance because they were trying to screw him even on the franchise tag, trying to put him at the defensive end when he says, dude, I'm a linebacker. I need that extra $3 million. Then he finalizes the grievance, yada, 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 back and forth. Next thing you know, he's traded to the Packers where he cashes in instantly as the richest non-quarterback in the NFL. So, yeah, handshake deal leads to a protest, a grievance, and boom, Parsons is gone. And he's not just gone, he's in green and gold. And for what? For 2 late first picks? For Kenny Clark? This screams of the Luka trade, and I don't think the same city can get this lucky twice. But it wasn't just a football decision with Jerry, and I think that's the problem I want to discuss. This was a dictator's debacle, emphasis on the word dick. Jerry really doesn't run a team anymore. He runs a circus. And Jerry Jones is literally the Vince McMahon of the NFL.
Screw you! You're fired!
Jerry Jones is the Vince McMahon of the NFL. When WrestleMania 32 made its way to Jerry World in 2016, I was actually there, but they even said you'll never see Jerry and Vince in the same room because they're actually the same guy. And when you think about it, dude, that's a pretty fair comparison. When you think of the ability to screw things up, Jerry Jones is very, very close to Vince McMahon, 2 hard-driving, self-made, narcissistic billionaires who have been very successful and are probably too focused on showmanship, but they are innovative. They do have media savvy, but then on the other side, they're also controlling, self-destructive dictators who, most importantly, both cling to the late 90s way too long and still try to act like it's 1998. The early success of Jerry and Vince and how they both have screwed it up is so identical, it is almost fascinating. In Jerry Jones' first decade, 4 NFC championships, 3 Super Bowls, 6 division titles, and really that dynasty, though, was built on Jimmy Johnson and the Herschel Walker trade. And as most people now know, even the new Netflix special they've admitted was pretty much a snow job.
So this whole thing was complete bullshit.
That had a lot more to do with Jimmy Johnson than did Jerry Jones. This is so similar to the late 90s when Vince McMahon, after stumbling onto Hulkamania, had some struggles and then was able to revive with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Attitude Era. If you know anything about this, and you can go Google it yourself, that had way more to do with Stone Cold than it did Vince McMahon. Matter of fact, he would either still be the ringmaster or Otto Von Ruthless, and WCW probably takes over the WWE. But since 1996, the Dallas Cowboys have had 0 NFC championship appearances in the last 28 years. Just 7 division titles in 17 seasons. A 4-10 playoff record. Last year they were 7-10, did not make the playoffs. They can't get any head coach with any sort of set of cojones down there. They just stumble into mediocrity and just false hope every single year. It is so similar to Vince McMahon, where he had the same thing after the 90s run. Again, that really had not as much to do with him as he'd like to take credit for. The ratings slid, so he just recycled stars, refused to let go, and really didn't until last year when the board was able to force him out due to SA allegations.
Creepy. Oh, dude.
But the parallel is so similar, man. Two old, stubborn, media-savvy showmanship who have made some good decision billionaires, but just cling to past glory, who are just convinced they are the genius behind the success that they really weren't as much as they want to give themselves credit for, and both refusing to give up control.
Never give up control.
And both holding back their empires. Jerry still doing it. He still wants that glory hole.
I want me some glory hole.
And I don't think he's able. I think that's really the only thing keeping Jerry alive, to be honest. So he's not going anywhere. And Cowboys fans, I just don't think as a franchise y'all can go anywhere with somebody who continues to show this inability. I mean, this should have been easy, just quick. They already had the handshake. Get the agent in. Get the deal done. This should have been done last year, to be honest, where even if you would have paid Micah a lot at the time, that still would have not been nearly as much as it would have been this year, just like he did with other contracts like Dak and Lamb. And he just is, Jerry Jones and Vince McMahon are the same pig-headed, stubborn billionaires. And just like the WWE, until the ringmaster Jera is gone, I just think Dallas can't be America's team. They're really just America's rerun. So Micah's going to do great for Green Bay, and I think that really does give them a good shot. I still got the Eagles in the NFC. Also would throw the Rams in there. It'll be an interesting situation. But, man, Dallas Cowboys, this is going to be a rough year for you. And the only thing that is giving people hope, and this is what I had to get into today, this is very interesting, the newest conspiracy flag, I'll throw the conspiracy flag out there. Is this all Manningfest Destiny? Latest hope by all the Cowboys nation is that this is all what I'm calling Manningfest Destiny, that Jerry and the boys are going Dallas Maverick, and they are going to be able to get Arch Manning with the first pick. That is what's happening with the Micah trade. They're actually stockpiling picks and kind of tanking and putting themselves in a situation to get the Manning kid and bring him on and be the new franchise quarterback of the future out of the University of Texas.
It's so simple.
I'll give you 4 problems why that is probably not going to happen in any way, shape, or form.
Cut the shit.
Getting the first pick will be the first problem. Dak's contract will be the second. Is Arch Manning even worth it? And, man, I got to talk about that. And also, even if he does become worth it, do you have the capital, even with the Micah trade, to get him, are all questions we need to answer. So, the first problem is getting the first pick in Dallas. So let's break it down. Getting the first pick in Dallas, even with this Micah Parsons debacle, will Dallas actually be bad enough? Now, Vegas, who I trust more than even analysts, has the win total now at 6.5. 6.5 wins this year, and they said after the trade they're unquestionably weaker, but it doesn't mean that they're going to suck bad enough to get the number 1 pick.
Even if you win, you lose.
You're probably going to need 3 to 4 wins, people putting the Saints in that category, to actually get the number 1 pick, even if you do tank. And Dallas is supposed to be bad, but with their offense, not that bad. Not bottom of the NFL bad. So rough year, sure, but automatic Arch Manning ticket, no. The other big problem, Dak Prescott has a no-trade clause in his contract.
I don't want to be traded.
That's kind of a big hiccup, the fact that he's extended to like 2028 and he has a no-trade clause in this whole, it's all a plan to get Arch Manning kind of conversation here. I mean, the fact is 4 years, massive guarantees, full no-trade clause. He's not just almost impossible to move. He would be very expensive to move. Even if you got it done, you can't waive him. It'll cost too much in dead cap money. And even if he did budge, which would be also crazy because Dak Prescott has always said he loves being a part of Dallas. He's a big part of the community. He loves being the star of their franchise. I don't see why he would want to move. There would only be a few teams probably want to take an injury-prone, expensive quarterback at that time. Teams like, again, the Saints would be a good one to think of, maybe the Raiders or the Rams if and when Stafford leaves, but there's really not a huge market, I don't think, out there for Dak Prescott, or at least not what they think they would get if they were even able to get him to waive his no-trade clause. And so his contract is basically trade-proof until 2025, and any Arch plan, even if you had one, would have to include him in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's not even a realistic thing to think about, because what do you do with Dak Prescott? Now, the biggest question, and I think this is a big one, is Arch Manning even worth all the hype? Did y'all just see the Buckeyes game? Holy Lord.
All right, here we go. Give me something. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I told you he was fucking adopted.
Ay, ay, ay. If this kid is the next big deal, this first opportunity to prove it was not there. And look, I'll say this. It is very tough. Very few players with all the hype and everything behind this one in 1 versus 3 Texas-Ohio State and win a game in the shoe. The last quarterback who was the favorite in the preseason to win the Heisman and actually pulled it off was like Leinart all the way back in 2004. However, Arch Manning looked a lot more like 2013 Eli than he ever did his other Uncle Peyton when he was setting records for the Colts. I mean, it was a rough day today for Arch and the Longhorns, man. Just 7 points, and Arch did finish off 17 of 30, 170 yards, only 1 touchdown and 1 interception, 38 rushing yards on 10 carries. What's sad about that is without that last little drive in the fourth quarter where they got a touchdown with 3 minutes left, it was a lot worse. In the third quarter, Arch Manning, Heisman Trophy, let's tank for him before the Cowboys. The next big thing was 9 of 15 for 38 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and Texas was then the first #1 team in nearly 40 years to go scoreless in the first half. I get that that's Ohio State, and that's the shoe, and that's a lot to ask for a kid in his first real big debut, but that did not do anything to help or hope that he is going to be the next huge thing and that the Cowboys are actually on a good path because they can then land him and have the franchise quarterback of the future. If he couldn't even beat Ohio State in the shoe, how is he going to lead the Cowboys to their first Super Bowl in damn near 30-something years? It isn't a good prospect, and the hype versus the reality of Arch is still a huge part of the conversation. The fact is, it's just a small sample size with this kid. We don't know. I get what everyone's saying. I mean, look, no one has preached son of pros more than me. Dude, I've said from day one, I will always take sons of pro athletes over others because of their ability to have certain training, certain access, poise, understanding, intelligence. There's all sorts of reasons and a lot of examples I can go with why you pick son of pro. And he was a #1 recruit, and he broke all their family's marks in high school. These are all great things. They say, look at the tools. The kid's got a quick release. He's got legit mobility. He's got NFL-level processing. People already have him as the #2 pick next year, at least. Best quarterback in college football flashes. They compare him to Andrew Luck. He looks like a true franchise QB in the making, but he would still have to prove it. And today, dude, he did not prove it. I saw a kid who didn't just not perform well, who didn't just lead Texas to the first scoreless first half for a #1 seed to open a season in nearly 40 years. I saw someone who was nervous. I saw someone who was inaccurate. And I saw someone who relied a lot on his legs. He did not seem poised at all, a la a Peyton. And you think of the Mannings being able to stay in there and take pressure. I saw a kid that was immediately going to the scramble, going to the bootleg, trying to run, trying to do things, was not able to rely on accuracy and NFL-level processing that they said he can do. It is his first game. I get it. But, man, if you were a Cowboys fan just a day ago going, oh, dude, don't worry, Jerry's got a plan, we got a plan, we're going to go get Arch Manning. Okay. Is that really what you want? The kid just went 17 of 30, buck 71 and 1, 38 rushing yards, 10 carries. And God, that by the third quarter, he was 9 of 15 for 38 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. We still don't know. It's very, very early, but that was not any proof that Arch is going to be the next big thing. And so let's go, though, through the hypothetical and say that he will become the next big thing, that he's able to bounce back and have the greatest season we've ever seen, win the Heisman, and he is now the consensus #1 pick. If the Cowboys can't get to the #1 pick, which Vegas and others say that they're not going to be able to get to, how are they going to be able to trade up to get him, even with the stockpile of picks that they got if you go by previous history? You look just 2023 when Carolina traded up for Young. Dude, he was not a consensus oh my God, next level, he's going to be the next big thing, number one pick. They still had to pay 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore. And again, that wasn't a generational prospect. For Arch Manning, if he becomes what they say he could be with the Manning name and everything else and people looking for that surefire number one that are going to be up there, I would say 3 to 4 first minimum plus talent if they were even willing to trade it. I mean, if he's a sure thing, a lot of teams are going to go, dude, we're not trading for shit.
No trade.
What?
Okay?
Like, imagine that's Cleveland or New Orleans or a team that's been starving for a quarterback for a while. Do they want, as many linebackers and wide receivers they can get their hands on? No. If they have a chance at a franchise quarterback, they're going to keep it. So even if you were able to get to 5th or 6th and try to trade up that Mount Everest to get all the way up to number 1, I don't even know if you have the capital to do it. I don't even know if the other team that was at number 1 would be willing to do it. So, man, that's a lot of reasons why I don't think Arch Manning and this plan, that this whole conspiracy that, oh man, we're going to bring him to this, it's Manningfest Destiny, we're going to bring him to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's contract is a problem. Arch Manning's performance today was a problem. You probably actually won't be bad enough to be number 1. You'll probably be just towards the bottom, which is a problem, including the fact that even if you were able to get a conversation to trade up, you still might not even have the capital, even with the Micah trade, even to be able to let that go. So maybe for at least now, you just have to admit Jerry Jones is a stubborn old man who can't negotiate for shit anymore and made a bad decision, and it's bad for your team. And I'm sorry to say it, but Cowboys, you're going to have a very rough year. At least you won't be stuck in the loop of mediocrity this year. I truly feel it's going to be a rough year for Cowboys fans. Maybe it can finally give you the revamp that you all so desperately need. Speaking of revamping, I do this every year, and I'm going to bring it up again. Look at me, NFL fans, as we're all very excited that the season has started.
So excited! I'm so excited!
It is just week 1. Remember not to panic.
You gotta keep our composure!
You got to remember it is a long season and to keep your composure. It is just week 1. The season runs until February. Do not freak out if your team starts out too cold.
We suck!
Or even too hot.
Best team ever!
We got a long way to go. And I always like to bring up these examples for people to keep themselves in a calm state of mind as the season rolls along here.
Come on, Billy. You boys need a quick history lesson.
There have been 5 Super Bowl champions who started off just absolutely ice cold. 2018 Patriots started off 1-2. Yeah, they went on to win it all. 81 49ers opened 1-2. They finished 13-3, won the Super Bowl. 93 Cowboys, speaking of, were 0-2. Now, that was because of the Emmett contract negotiations, but they were 0-2 and then went on to win the Super Bowl. 01 Patriots started 0-2. That ended up being Brady's first Lombardi. 07 Giants started off 0-2 and then went on to upset the 18-0 Patriots. Other teams that didn't win Super Bowls, but man, started terrible and looked dead, then made runs, include even just a few years ago, 2018 Texans. They started off 0-3. They reeled off 9 straight wins, including back-to-back exciting overtime ones in week 4 and 5, finished 11-5, made the playoffs. 2018, that same year, the Seahawks also opened 0-2, finished 10-6, became a wild card team. 2018 Eagles that same year were 2-3, finished 9-7, went on to win the double doink wild card in Chicago. So that's 3 teams in 1 year that came off with either an 0-3, 0-2, or 2-3 start and went on to at least make the playoffs, and some actually won a game. But on the other side of this,
don't get too cocky, Slappy.
And this is the one that really needs to be paid attention to, is that a lot of times, dude, fast starts don't mean anything. Don't get too cocky. Don't stick your chest out just because you had a hot start in September, October, and even into November. I mean, the 2023 Eagles, this was just a couple years ago, were 10-1. Then they lost 5 of 6 and were blown out in the wild card. Philly doesn't want to remember that. Y'all were trying to fire Sirianni after that season. 2020 Steelers started 11-0. They finished 12-4 and were bounced by the Browns, of all people, in the wild card. Falcons in 2015, 5-0, went to 8-8, did not make the playoffs. The Jets went from 8-3 to 9-7, no playoffs. Now, Favre got hurt, but injuries happened. Lions were 6-2, ended up 7-9, no playoffs. Raiders 6-3, 8-8, no playoffs. So, I mean, again, it is a long year, man. This is such the approach of the we'll see, and just give it time, and you never know, and never get too cocky, never get too sad. Try to keep yourself in a kind of in a Buddha place, man. I always try to tell people that is always week 1. Try not to panic if the first couple weeks go either the way you want or the way you don't want. Long year, man. Long year. Speaking of a long year, God dang it, WNBA. The newest thing is that they are rejecting the latest proposal and are now proposing an actual lockout for next season. And I just...
Why are you trying to screw it up now?
You ladies are locked out of reality. But I'm not surprised, and I think that's where I want to start this conversation, is that if you're a WNBA fan and you, like me, are worried going, this is going to really be a rough year to try to pull this crap. But I have to say, dude, I am not surprised at all. As a matter of fact, I probably expected this. There's a hard truth with the WNBA, and I want to get into it, is that for a long time, not the internet, but the media, this has been a league of entitled, protected, or ignored stars, and it's become self-destructive, and the pandering has really come to roost.
Blame myself.
It is not the easiest conversation to have. There's three classes of reasons the media either ignored them, praised them, pandered them, or just left them alone. Between gender, sexual orientation, and race, those are three classes of, man, you do not want to come after them, because it is so easy for people that don't like what you just said to either blame you for one of those three things.
You guys are being a bunch of racist, homophobic...
I don't think there's anything worse than being accused of one of those, well enough all three. Just because you don't like something that happened in a league, suddenly you're, a homophobic, racist, misogynist.
And you're a piece of shit.
Dude, that's a rough triple whammy, man. Like, that's a rough thing to try to bounce back from. That is just where a lot of media members, I think, just decided to ignore it. I think this is why you look at kind of what's happened and their attitude and their behavior. I think it's very easily connected to the idea that if you didn't praise them, most media dudes are just like, I'm just leaving them alone. Like, it's just not worth the headache of trying to even give fair criticism, because the first thing people are going to do is hit me with all sorts of rough accusations. And so it has led to a pandering and kind of just being left to their own devices, to where now, dude, the WNBA, you're not well liked.
Nobody likes me anymore.
I just don't know what to tell you. It's not a diss, it's a fact. So much of the WNBA, the fan base, even the core, it's so much more politics than it is sports. It's probably, of any sport, the one that is clearly most led by political and personal opinion driven than actually watching the game. The fact is, a lot of the loudest supporters online just are people that argue online and don't actually watch the sport or know the sport. So when you have people like that, much like politics, their opinions are preset. It's more about, I'm here to back women, I'm here to back LGBT, and if you push back, you're the worst person in the world, yada, yada, yada. Players were then able to kind of mirror and almost reinforce that vibe, which was, of course, highlighted by the All-Star game, which should have been a celebration, ended up being just a long conversation about the pay us what you owe us t-shirts, and what does that mean, and are they too entitled? And even the game itself, they decided to take it off and had just an awful layup line of a game. And then players in the WNBA criticized them for that. They were even accused of being haters. It is just such an odd mix right now of victimhood plus aggression and loud accusatory behavior. And it's this weird concoction where they're somehow still beyond criticism, even though they'll have everything to criticize with you.
Wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong.
And so putting that all together, you're just not as popular as the NBA or the NFL. Even worse, though, you're not nearly as popular as even other women's sports. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's not just that people don't like the WNBA versus NBA, NFL. It's that they don't like them versus other women's sports. There's a lot of other women's sports that get a lot more love from the casual fans, even college basketball, tennis, gymnastics. And if you want to start getting these bigger checks, at some point you're going to have to win. You can't just continue this attitude of, we can just do whatever we want and screw y'all and still give us all the money. You're going to have to get people to like you.
I don't care if people like me.
And it's almost not all your fault. Again, you've been left alone or pandered to for a very long time. But to get into the actual story, the latest CBA offer has led to rumors that they are going to now go into a lockout, because I thought the WNBA actually gave them a very fair offer, and then the WNBA Players Union and everyone called it a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face.
A slap in the face. It was actually really close. go back. I did a whole show on this. Pay us what you owe us if you look it up on YouTube. And we came up with a proposed model of what I thought was fair and good growth and showing real investment in the league. It was almost identical to what the WNBA offered. WNBA decided to offer a minimum of $250,000 and a maximum probably somewhere around $1 million. That is very close to what I thought. After looking at everything, I was like, dude, that's an actually pretty fair deal, similar to MLS and other things, other than they have the big ability to pay one player way above the cap. But regular pay and then comparing to leagues, go back and look all that up. I explained this all in full detail in case you want to get into it. But they called that a slap in the face.
A slap in the face.
That's interesting. $1 million a year is a slap in the face. $250 minimum is a slap in the face for a league that most people now know has never been profitable, still remains one-star driven. You can say what you want. Everyone's doing this. Look at this person. Look at this person. Caitlin Clark, with her out, the ratings have now completely stymied. And somehow they're trying to brag that they've stymied, and rather than go up with Caitlin, who's now been out for an extended period of time. And Caitlin Clark is the only one who Ice Cube and the Big Three League apparently offered anywhere from $10 to $15 million to come play in their league. And I didn't see any of those offers go to a Paige, to an Angel, to an Asia, to a Sabrina, whoever else you want to bring up that you think moves the needle. And if you have a problem with me, that's fine. I dare you to go up to Ice Cube, former NWA member, and accuse him of all the stuff you'd want to accuse me of, saying, well, why don't you offer Angel $10 million? Why don't you offer Paige? You must be an XYZ. Have fun with that and see how that goes for you. But again, it's a one-star driven league. You've never been profitable. The other big problem is that you only play 40 games a year and are complaining about playing just 40-something games a year versus the NBA's 82. Just recently, again, Sabally just bitching publicly about it was a health concern. It was safety issue that they had to play one back-to-back game.
It's like they don't care about player safety. It's like they don't care about scheduling or whatever. And I mean, I only mentioned that one time in the beginning of the season, and I know people always love to come and say, oh, you guys want to get paid more, you guys need to play all these games, but at some point there's a sports science to it. And yeah, it's honestly just like game on game on game on game. So we play tomorrow and we're professional and we'll do it.
And people were like, you know, the NBA, who you want to live up to and you want to get paid like, they've been doing that for a minute. And they play twice as many games as you do. And then they went on to say, no, you don't understand, because it's not about just a certain amount of pay. It's about the revenue. And again, go back to the episode where I explained a lot of this, but I'll give you a quick recap. They don't have the revenue to split. This needs to get out more. This needs to be discussed more when it comes in this WNBA and this ongoing lockout. I want you to know this information. They do not have 100% of the revenue. Matter of fact, they don't have anything close to 100% revenue to split. Flashback! This is the big elephant in the room when it comes to the 50-50 dilemma of people screaming, well, the WNBA should be paid like the NBA, who gets 50-50 revenue split. In Major League Baseball and NFL get 50-50 revenue split. Why, oh why, doesn't the WNBA get 50-50 revenue split? The biggest problem is that the WNBA doesn't even own 50% of the league itself. The NBA, NFL, and MLB are all 100% owned by their team owners. 100% of their league is owned in a collective of their team owners. The WNBA only owns 42% of its own league. How did that happen?
How did you ever screw up so bad?
And we're back.
And then in 2022, to make matters even worse, 16% was sold to outside investors because this was pre-Caitlin Angel and they didn't have the money, and they raised $75 million selling 16%. Now to even try to buy that back, they'd have to pay 20 times more. It would be a big headache. So this idea that you want a 50-50 split in half of the pie, you don't even have half of the pie to get half of the pie. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are nowhere close to getting an NBA split. And in order for them to even get close to getting that revenue back, they would have to pay 20 times more to get the 16. They would have to negotiate with the NBA. This idea that it's just a simple of, oh, they're just being haters, they're not giving us our half. It's not that simple. They cannot do that for you overnight. And the biggest thing, and where I've kind of alluded to here, you're not very well liked, and you're not baseball, and you're not hockey. Even those leagues struggled tremendously after a lockout. I hope they don't think that they will go into a lockout and come back to open arms when you consider leagues that have been around a lot longer, that had a lot more money and a lot more of a generational fan base struggled for years or never made it back to where they were after a lockout.
Come back. I'm sorry. Come back.
Go look up MLB 1994-95 when that strike just cratered trust and it took a home run race from hell with Mark McGwire and Sosa to bring fans back. But even then, it never seemed to be the same America's pastime that it was before that. And to also amplify the problem for you, you just had your home run race. You're not going to get an Angel and Caitlin again. Angel and Caitlin is your McGwire Sosa. If Angel and Caitlin came after you struck and then came back and had your lockout and came back, that would be one thing. You just had your big push. You can't go ahead and quit now. Look at hockey. 04-05. NHL has never recovered. A lot of people that are even in the business will tell you NHL never recovered. Their whole season went away in a lockout dispute, and they have never gained the national relevance that they then had before that. I remember at least 80s, early 90s, you would hear some hockey stories. Dude, unless you're a regional or a fan of it, I don't hear shit about hockey from a casual, and most people blame the strike of 04-05. WNBA, you do not have that cushion. You just don't have it. If you push into a lockout now, you will risk burning the fragile momentum that you finally built precisely when you need people to stick around. I have once again said, and look at the old show if you want to get the breakdowns of why, I gave you two actual realistic ways the WNBA could get some decent pay raises. They could follow MLS, the Major League Soccer rule, which is where they have a no cap for one certain player, but that would piss off way too many women who are very petty and jealous in the WNBA, because like Caitlin would get 5 to 10, Asia Wilson would probably get somewhere from 4 to 5. The top players would, outside of the cap, would get paid huge, and the bottom would still get paid too little, and it would cause too much dissension. So I don't think that's realistic, even though that's probably the fairest, considering only a few people really keep up the league. The other one that made more sense, because they only own 48% of the league, was to do a 24%, 25% revenue split, which would have gave them around $500,000 to $600,000, I believe, for average salaries, and stars could make up to 1.5 to 2 to 3. That was doable. That's sustainable. That's a path towards legitimacy. But WNBA wants this 50-50 split. It's not possible. They don't own 100% of the revenue stream. They don't generate any revenue, period. So the players, you're not wrong for wanting more, but the continued behavior and the idea that you would lock out after this year, it's not just unrealistic. It's
everything will be ruined.
It is catastrophic. There's more established leagues than you that have been around forever that nearly destroyed themselves with strikes and lockouts. You do not have that margin for error. So you have two real choices. You can grow now into what you think you're worth and get a decent raise, which makes all the sense, or you can swing for the fences and lock yourselves out and maybe burn the whole house down before it ever even actually caught fire. It's your choice, ladies, and I, again, blame a lot of this on the fact that nobody wants to say anything negative because people come out and they're so loud and in your face about it. Don't confuse Twitter and online support with what actually would happen if you did make this terrible decision. It is not the same thing. It's like I said, I talked about a lot of this at length. Go back to my previous YouTube. I'll put the picture up here. You can see it. It's called the Pay Us What You Owe Us episode. I break all this down, but it's just sad to hear that they continue to make the same mistakes. It's their fault, but it's also our fault. Just a lot of blame to go around for their nonsense. Last nonsense with the W, and this one's at least a little more fun. I'm calling out what I call the WNBA's core and your desperation to be a page turner. That Paige Bueckers is already the new big thing, and Caitlin ain't shit.
Cut the shit.
Yada, yada, yada. If there's ever proof that I needed to my argument of politics and performance are two different things to the WNBA core fan, and some of your opinions based on politics are preset, there is not one real stat to back up that Paige Bueckers is better than Caitlin Clark in any way, shape, or form.
I don't do math.
But I get that it's the narrative you want to push, so let's do the reality check. I like Paige Bueckers. She's a very good player. She has not proven in any way, shape, or form that she is better than Caitlin. And I know the narrative. I know this is what the W wants.
She is the chosen one.
For the longest time, they have wanted Paige Bueckers to be the one. I've heard about her since high school, and she just makes more sense coming from UConn, but also she fits the brand. She fits what they're used to. It's a safer image. She says, the right things. She lines up perfectly with the media and the players and the politics. And P.S., Caitlyn does too, which I keep trying to not get into sides-offs about that. But Caitlyn has never said anything other than what 99% of WNBA and their fan base would agree with. But somehow, when Paige says it, it gets highlighted, and y'all give her the attagirl, which is also kind of eye-rolling in its own thing I can get into another day about oh, you're so brave, you're so this. She's only saying what you would agree with anyways. I've never found it be that brave.
You're so brave. You're so brave. Yes, you are.
To come out and say, let me say something I know everyone here is going to, completely applaud me for, as if it's some big deal. But just recently, she just spoke on the thing in Minnesota. She's very vocal. Asia also, the whole, she knows her privilege. There's a lot of things that prove to me that Paige was the one that the W and the core and the gatekeepers were comfortable with. Caitlyn came out of nowhere. She brought in the wrong fans. She has always been in a different perspective. But the fact still remains, there are differences between all-stars and all-time talent. Paige Bueckers has had a run. Let's at least keep it a buck and give her some flowers as far as Paige Bueckers is playing absolutely not just solid. She's playing great basketball. Paige Bueckers was just July Rookie of the Month. She's been kicking ass left and right. She just dropped 44 points the other day. She is absolutely smooth with it. It's interesting to compare her. If I gave you NBA comparisons, the three big names that always get brought up. Angel Reese, to me, reminds me of a Draymond and Rodman somewhere in between. Scrappy, emotional, polarizing, but does good things on the floor. Teammates love them and have had success on multiple levels. Caitlin Clark is Steph Curry. And that's just, I've explained this a million times. She's Steph Curry in a ponytail with her logo threes, exciting play, and everything else. Paige Bueckers is SGA. The more I watch Paige, I'm like, ooh, she reminds me a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Smooth, skilled, plays within the system. If there's something I'll say for sure that Paige does better than Caitlyn, she is a better mid-range and inside the three-point line player, more efficient in those ways, is more just efficient in her movement, is not nearly as low or high ceiling. She's always going to have a decent game, most likely, headlined by, of course, she just had, almost 30 games in a row with double figures. She's very good at getting, easy buckets and being able to do things. She has a lot of little shake and shimmy, good footwork, is a well-developed, well-coached, great player. She just doesn't have the same ceiling and doesn't have nearly the same excitement. I just do not see, whether it's through television ratings, people really that watch talking about it, you just don't get the same level of excitement as you do with Caitlyn going 5 of 7 from threes with 13 assists. Half of those were from 30 feet. It's the same thing as Steph Curry. Steph Curry versus SGA. Steph Curry, no matter where he goes, you'll see a million Steph Curry jerseys in the stands. You will see people chant MVP. People come there to watch him specifically. SGA was just MVP last year, and all that's fantastic. SGA does not sell tickets. People do not go out of their way to talk about SGA, even though he's the MVP and champion. He just plays a nice, concise, efficient, well-organized game, but it's not the same level. It doesn't bring in the same level of excitement. It also doesn't have the same ceiling as a Steph does. So I think it's a fair comparison to say that Angel is somewhere between Draymond and Dennis, that Paige is definitely an SGA, and then Caitlyn is Steph, and you're trying to compare SGA to Steph, and I think both deserve some love in their own right. I don't think most people argue. Maybe some of you Thunder fan will, but I think most people know the difference between SGA or Steph Curry. The other reality check that has been interesting is that in the last few games, Paige Bueckers has finally, the gloves have come off. After that 44-point, blowout, if you saw those highlights, dude, there was a lot of one-on-one coverage. That has all gone away in the last 3 games. It has only been 3 games that Paige has gotten the Caitlin Clark treatment. She has, of course, struggled a little bit with that, and the last 3 games only averaged 12 points. She has averaged 6.3 assists, but shot only 12 of 34 from the field for 35%. But her coach is already complaining, and it's almost hysterical to watch him bitch and moan. He's like, oh, this is unfair. They're being too physical, and they're double-teaming her, and they're hitting her, and all this. What has happened to the WNBA? And the rest of us Caitlin fans are just sitting back chuckling a little bit, going like, really, dude?
You gotta be kidding me.
Like this, do you want to go there? Oh, she been doubled for 3 whole games? They getting a little physical with her? To all, the Wings fans and Paige fans and everyone else, it is hard not to laugh in your face at the idea that 3 games of tough defense is somehow worthy of the world's smallest violin, when from the second Caitlyn walked onto the court, she was getting her ass-kicked, double-teamed. All the stats will show that and prove it. And while Paige has been able to do some things decently, obviously the numbers dipping, 12 points, only 35% from the field is not a surprise. I would also throw in the Dallas Wings are only 9-31.
I won't talk about that.
Can I bring that up, by the way? Everyone says, oh, Paige makes everyone better. Paige is a bigger winner than Caitlin Clark. How is that so when you look at the fact that she's 9-31? When Caitlin came in as a rookie, she took the Indiana Fever to the playoffs. And, oh, by the way, if you compare rookie year to rookie year, and this is the big thing I want to talk about, each full season in the WNBA, Caitlin is continually beating her in almost every single category possible. How can you sit there and say with a straight face, other than you just don't know what you're talking about or you don't watch the games, that Paige is better than Caitlin when there's not one statistical category that you can cling to? Her rookie year, look at hers versus Paige. 19.2 points to her 19 points. 5.7 rebounds to her 3.9 rebounds. 8.4 assists to her 5.2. Even more steals, even more blocks, still shot a better percentage from three, even had a higher efficient field goal percentage. So I ask you one more time, if Paige is clearly better and she's the next one and everything else, how is she not able to beat her in any statistical category of note in her rookie year? Then I could even throw in, remember they played in college in the NCAA playoffs. Caitlin beat Paige and she beat her with Iowa. Paige lost with UConn. And the hard truth about this, too, I want to say this. Paige has been protected. Paige has been chosen and protected all the way back to high school, and this is no different. She has been insulated her whole career. As great as she's been and as much success as she's had. Going back to high school, she went to Hopkins High School, and everyone talks about, oh, she made all these state titles. What they won't tell you is that that program already had 11 straight state semifinal runs before Paige even arrived. The high school she was at had made the state at least semifinals 11 years straight before she showed up. It's not like she took them out of nowhere. Then she went on to UConn, which, I mean, my God, do you know anything about women's basketball and UConn? Stacked rosters. Greatest coach of all time, always surrounded by superior talent. Matter of fact, the championship that she won just last year, she was the third leading scorer on her team under her girlfriend Fudd and Strong. So she wasn't even the leading scorer the last couple of games because her team was just that good. The Dallas Wings are the first time really in Paige's life that she's had to carry a bad team, and they are 9-31. Caitlin Clark has been carrying Iowas and Fevers and everyone else on her back from the minute she has showed up. And this is my new favorite of the dumbest thing that I've heard people say when comparing Paige to Caitlin.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dumb talk.
That she's not as injury prone, and that also is why Paige is better. That Paige is less injury prone than Caitlin Clark, and her availability also makes her better. That is not just wrong. That lets me know, like, dude, you just entered the chat.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything.
Like, you just showed up. You have no clue what you're talking about, and you literally just, I started watching this sport a week ago. Let me say some stupid shit. All the way back to high school, Paige Bueckers, who, again, I have nothing against, has had health issues. In high school, she had a stress fracture, and she had patellar tendonitis that kept her out of certain games. Go to UConn, she had not one, but two major injuries. In 21, she had a tibial fracture. In 2022, she had an ACL tear. It is easy to jump on the bandwagon right now with Caitlin Clark's injuries, but this is the first time going back to high school that Caitlin has missed any significant games because of injury. And yet y'all have the nerve to say you know this sport with a straight face and go, well, oh, actually, you know, she's more injury I mean, you're just, ugh.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I get it. You were already preset in your opinion, but you need to back up some facts when you come to talk to me about this. And just in general, it's just hard for me to have any mercy for poor Paige right now, getting double teamed and everything else and getting more physical for 3 games. The Caitlin treatment is so real, and it's been so real from the jump. Sophie Cunningham talked about this on her podcast and said, you know, it was fun when I was in Phoenix, but now that I'm in Indiana and I'm a part of it, it's complete nonsense. And even with all that, Caitlin Clark in her rookie year, her only healthy year, did more than legends did in their entire careers up to this point. There are 3 records I want to highlight. First of all, her teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, who I love, and a lot of y'all are trying to say is better than Caitlin too. Okay, I love Kelsey, but she's not Caitlin. She just broke the Fever point scoring record. That was actually Caitlin's record from just last year. Kelsey Plum, considered one of the greatest legends, just joined Caitlin Clark in the 700-point, 200-assist club. She has been in the league for a decade. Alyssa Thomas just joined Caitlin Clark in the highest points created club. I think actually surpassed Caitlin. But again, Alyssa Thomas, been in the league for a long time. Kelsey Plum, been in the league for a long time. Kelsey Mitchell, been in the league for a long time. They all are bragging about records that they set this year that Caitlin was able to do in just one. There's just levels to it. Fans have been calling this out and saying, like, dude, tell Paige welcome to the league. Tell Paige welcome to the Caitlin show. And I will continue to root for her. I think it is good for the league if they can stick around to have these two continue the rivalry. But until she actually does more than have a couple blips in a 44-point game here and is doing better than 9-31 on the first time she's had to put a team on her back and is not statistically in any way above Caitlin Clark and has not set the same amount of records, don't talk to me till you actually research something. It's called Google. It's very easy. You type, you look it up, you'll know some stuff. Or you can just listen to me. I got to go. You guys enjoy your week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll come back next week with more NFL talk, see how everything went down. You enjoy it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Tricky Guy Sports.
And smash that subscribe button.